Yes, 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 it is a cast worthy podcast, and we are back. It's a three-man gang today, Sunday, July 7th. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on Elon's X Machine, formerly known as Twitter, joined by EJ, Sophisticated Savage, and VP, the Magnanimous. I don't know how that name is aging. We'll see if it means anything when we get to our HOD segment. But we're here. It's the Castworthy Podcast. And where can we be found? Pretty much anywhere. If you look for streaming content, we are there. If you get a podcast there, we're pretty much there. So the easiest ones or most common are Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. You can find us on Spreaker. You can find us on YouTube if you want to watch the video, Instagram, Facebook, and X if you want to follow the socials and interact. Every Sunday we're here. We usually say we'll be here at 9. Don't start till 10 because we're colored. And that's the way it goes. So, gentlemen, how are you guys doing? EJ, temp check. You still single?
I'm doing great.
That doesn't answer the question. I need to know this before I hop on this plane Friday.
You're not coming up here. Stop lying. Stop the nonsense.
All right. All right. You
All
better get a
right. We haven't seen any proof so far.
Good morning. I sent you the flights. Good morning.
You sent me a flight. You sent me a flight that you looked up and there was nothing else.
I hate these disrespectful people, man. VP, what's good with you? You're muted. Good start though. I see we're off running today.
Nothing much, man. We're getting ready to travel ourselves. We're heading up to Michigan. TJ got Junior Goal, which is the big tournament for the youth bowlers. It's in Detroit this year. So we'll be leaving on Wednesday for that. And then this week he bowled in he had Teen Masters. Which they have that every year. It's always the week before Junior Gold, but it's always usually at the same site as Junior Gold. But in this year, it was in Orlando, so it was his first time that he got to bowl in it, and he did well. He was like off and on a little bit, but he finished in 11th overall out of 113 boys in his division. Finished 11th, and his friend Bruno actually won it. That kid, he was on like.
That kid's been a beast though, right?
Yeah, he's been good, but like this is like the first like big thing he's won. But
about Bruno.
Like, yeah. But he started off on, how sometimes like a kid starts off like on fire and then they'll kind of come back to earth the next day or something like that, He just stayed up there. Killed it the whole, like when they got to the finals, the kid he bowled against would have had to bowl like, I think they bowl 6 games. Their sets are like 6 games a day or whatever. That kid would have had to bowl like 4 300s and like 2 250s to Bruno would have had to bowl like shit, and then that kid would have had to bowl like
one of them days. Like when MJ be on. We haven't never seen that from like LeBron, but it's like an MJ or Kobe moment.
Oh God.
GOAT moment.
I mean, I guess game 5 of the round 2 against the Celtics don't mean anything for LeBron.
Nobody remembers it.
I just told you what it was.
You know what I remember more? Bronny yesterday was 4 points. 4 points, 2 assists, 2 boards, I think, in 21 minutes. That's like my player on 2K.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Here we go. He gonna talk about Wemby. Yeah, Wemby had a bad.
Yeah, it was like a year ago exactly when Wemby went out and scored like a 1 rebound.
The top prospect in the draft, though, a guy who we've seen at the big levels getting it.
Right, which means that you expect more. This guy was like the 5th before last pick. Would you expect him to go out and put up 30
in 21 minutes, bro? 4 points. I'm a math guy. I can't even do the average of that. I have to do. I need a pen and paper, maybe a
Yeah.
calculator. EJ,
Anything to
what's
sit
the
on
temperature
dry.
like up there? Do I need to bring
Hot.
shorts with me? Am I bringing flip flops? Like, do I get my? Do y'all have sand up there? I don't know. I've never been to Baltimore. I only drove through it.
Next question.
Do you? Do you? I'm just look, man. You better clear your calendar. I'm telling you right now. Hop on a train to Connecticut. It only take 4 hours.
This guy so
But
full of shit.
on this Michigan trip, I'm actually excited or whatever. Well, not for me, but for them. Like typically when we go, like we just eat at like chain restaurants and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And when we went to Kentucky and EJ put us on I want to say it was called Merle's, something like that. It was like a chicken spot or whatever. Yeah, shout out to Merle's, yo. That was whew,
You did some research, like
I
on
mean,
some food spots. I need to do
yeah,
that.
well, yeah. So what I didn't really do the research. What happened is EJ follows the guy too. There's this guy on Instagram named Mr. Chime Time. Shout out to him. And he goes to different cities and like reviews restaurants, but he don't eat at any chain places, all like local spots or whatever. And
Gotcha.
he was in Detroit like 2 months ago. And
Yeah.
so I'm basically gonna be using his Detroit food review as the places we eat or whatever.
So
That's smart.
basically, somebody created an LLC during COVID to save some money to show themselves eating, and we trust them for food.
That's smart. Good move. Because he
Yeah,
definitely gets it
that's
right.
probably better than Yelp, right?
Yeah.
Like I usually look at Yelp, but with Yelp, not everybody has the same taste buds.
Right.
You know what I mean? The pictures don't be good. Mr. Chime Time. I'm gonna check him out. See what he found.
Yeah,
What he's got in the
he
DC
definitely was
area.
on point. No, he's from North Carolina and he goes everywhere. But
Mhm.
he's definitely on point. Like when he came to Maryland for a crab cake, he got it right. He got it right. He did his research. He goes around. And I saw the Detroit video. Definitely got to go to Hitsville, USA, see Motown
Mm.
spot.
What part are you going to Detroit, or is it a different part of Michigan?
No, Detroit.
Oh, okay. 8
Mhm.
Mile.
Yeah, gonna be in
You gonna
Detroit
see B
proper.
Rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Detroit, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Detroit's been coming up a lot lately. I got a friend that lives up there. I watched the Axel Foley movie. Now you guys are talking about Detroit. It might be a message. I might need to plan a little trip up there. It looked pretty decent in the movie. All right, so let's see. Where do we want to start, guys? Do we want to start? EJ, you got anything planned for the week ahead before your fun-filled weekend with me? I hope you got. Listen, I hope you got an itinerary. Don't bring me to no backyard party sitting in the weeds. I saw them pictures. Although them t-shirts was kind of funny though.
Them
You ain't even
t-shirts
tell
were
us about
mad
it.
funny, yo. Mad funny.
Yeah, it's a inappropriate T-shirt party every year that this firefighter throws for something. I can't remember what the cause is, but
Dope.
yeah, it's a lot of people out there, and it's a fun experience. So I try to go every year around
What
Fourth of
did
Yo,
your
July.
shirt say?
I had the Orlando
his shirt
Brown
said Virginia.
Virginia.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Virginia. Okay. I thought it said Virginia, like beginner, but like the play
Nah,
on virgin and beginner.
have you
That's
seen the Orlando Brown video?
No.
yeah.
I'm gonna send it to
I,
you, VP.
So that's
But
probably why I
that's
didn't get it.
actually
I saw the
that's
picture
actually a
and didn't
good
even
one.
realize who that was.
mm-hmm.
Did you order that somewhere, or you had it made?
Yeah, I basically just screenshotted the picture and sent it to a t-shirt lady, and she did her thing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
You said virginer.
Virginia.
All
I'm
right.
gonna
I'm
send you the
done with
clip.
this guy.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna
Dog,
send
you
you the
gotta
clip.
come off of them political fucking social sites and get to some of these memes, funny videos. That's an old video.
I mean,
Orlando
I thought
Brown is a wild boy.
so the way that I read it, I felt like it was still funny because I read it as virginer, like a
Oh,
like
okay.
beginner, but mixed with virgin or whatever. So that's the way I read
Okay.
it. You know what I mean? Which I thought
Mhm.
it was still funny. But I have to check out the clip you guys are talking about.
Okay. So what them streets look like up there?
I mean, No, it's been hot. It's been, it's been good vibes so far. I haven't really been paying attention to news and crime that's going on, but if any, but it's
It
been cool.
seemed pretty quiet this week. I mean, 4th of July was this week. It was on a Thursday. Usually we get that post that, the cities like Baltimore or Chicago mostly with extreme amounts of crime and deaths and gun violence and stuff. And I didn't see that on the news. Not saying it didn't happen. It's very possible that it did, but hopefully, since we didn't see, or I didn't see it, it didn't happen, and it was a quiet crime weekend. That might mean that we're moving somewhat in the right direction. Police doing
No,
their job.
it wasn't quiet at all. It's just it's funny you mentioned that. Me and my brother were talking about this yesterday, and we were talking about something else, and then this kind of creeped into the conversation. And he was saying that he was talking to a dude, and the dude was like, is like a Republican guy, and he was asking him like, what do you think about guns and mass shootings, et cetera, et cetera. And the person was like, oh, don't get me started. Do you know they be having like shootouts in the hood and the media doesn't cover it and blah blah, like, oh, how most right wingers turn to, oh, what about black on black crime instead of addressing the gun issue overall. And I told my brother, I said, gun violence and mass shootings happen with such regularity in this country now that we've almost become numb to it. And so only when something big happens, it gets reported, right? And I hadn't even seen anything. Just to give an example, I just Googled the word mass shooting to see like when the last one was. And this yesterday morning, me and him are talking. And there was a mass shooting that happened in Kentucky on 2 a.m. on Saturday morning where 5 people were killed, 3 people were hospitalized. And I didn't even see it on the news. And we're having this conversation like 8 hours after this event happened. You know what I mean? Me and my brother. And so, it's insane, man.
Does it surprise you though that Kentucky wouldn't show that, especially with the times that we're in right now? Is political season coming? Things are being turned around for by SCOTUS and stuff like that. Does that surprise you? Like, I feel like if it was in like a New York or somewhere like that, you would have definitely heard about it. But I think Kentucky is like,
Yeah, I think the place definitely plays a factor. The other things that are happening in the news, play a factor as well. But at the same time, I mean, you think about some of the, like, if you think back 10, 15 years ago, I remember there was a shooting in some small city in California. It was in California, but it was some small part that I had never heard of. And I think 4 people were shot. And it was like national news for like 2 or 3 days in a row. This was like 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now it's like, I mean, it's only 5 people. That's a little one. Like what else? It's hurricane season here in Florida, right? I always tell people, man, wake me up when it gets to category 3. You know what I mean? And it almost feels like that's how it is with these mass shootings now. Like, I mean, wake me up when it hits double digits.
These fucking hurricanes been starting at a 3 lately. It's that year. We got lucky with Beryl, but apparently it did some damage in Puerto Rico. So shout out to there. I mean, lots of places, but that was the one that I saw some pictures from. Shout out to them. I heard there was also a lot of other islands out that way that got impacted pretty badly. So hopefully as much safety precaution is needed out there to get those people back to where they need to be. Let's hope that takes place.
Earliest category 4, and then it turned to a 5 since we've been keeping records on hurricanes.
And it's another one out there lingering, heading towards Mexico and Texas. If I was Biden, I would be like, yo, Trump created that one. I could play his game. It's a man-made hurricane. Trump did it. He tried to get rid of Mexicans. He can't build a wall, so you're going to send a hurricane. But yeah, I mean, down here, it sounded like it was pretty quiet. You heard a lot of stuff going on up there on the 4th, EJ, as far as
no, I mean, and again, I don't really pay attention to the news as much anymore, but nothing has stood out that I've seen It's hot up here, so I don't know that motherfuckers is outside, because it's hot.
And y'all don't got central
you think
air
it's
like
hot
that,
there,
right?
No, we do have central air, but it's just hot for. It's a different kind of heat. Like, my Uncle Greg came up from Georgia, and he's just like, "Yo, it's just a different kind of heat up here. You can't even like explain it." And
Muggy.
I was in DC last night, and it's a little bit more cool down there because they're closer to the water. But it's I don't know. So maybe cats ain't been outside. I don't know, but I haven't really been paying attention.
How far is the ride from where you are to DC?
About 45 minutes.
Okay, that's a
Damn.
drive or a train?
Either one.
About the same.
One.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's the same on a train.
Yeah, it depends on the train you take. Like if you take Amtrak, it'll be like 30 minutes. But you got to include the stops. So it all
I
depends.
heard DC was popping. Chris Brown had his joint on the 3rd out there.
Yeah.
That's close to home for him. So I heard it was
Very much close to home for him.
I heard it was going. He's supposed to be here in Orlando this weekend, but I'm gonna miss him. Wanted to go.
Damn, I'm gonna miss it too.
But I'll be out of town. VP, hopefully you've taken all your necessary steps to get situated for travel.
Started last night. Made them step one.
Yeah, make them calls and stuff. So you ain't gotta wait in line. You don't gotta wait in security. All that.
Oh, I thought you meant something else.
Downloading your adult videos.
No, I
Filthy boy.
Dropped the deuce last night.
When do you leave?
Wednesday morning.
Nigga, you shitted last night in preparation for Wednesday? What are you talking about?
No, because I need to make sure I go the day before. So I didn't have to go. So I made myself go last night. So that way I don't go I don't go every day like most people. I go maybe 2 times a week. So,
wow.
So I made myself
give
go.
you something for that. Pause.
I made myself go last night. And then that way, I should have to go again by the time we get to Tuesday, and then I'll go on Tuesday night. Usually what I do the day before is I'll have breakfast like normal time, and then I only eat 2 meals a day normally anyway. But normally I eat like my dinner/lunch meal like around like 4 o'clock. So, but when we're traveling, I'll eat breakfast normal time, and then I'll have my last meal of the day like around 12, like 1 o'clock at the latest. That way I've digested, whatever, and then later that evening, I'm gonna go and make myself go to the bathroom.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that.
It's a process. When you're handicapped, you got to think about that kind of shit. Because I can't go to the bathroom on a plane because like the little aisle chair they use to get me in, they don't keep those on the plane. They keep those in the airport. Like once I'm in the seat, I'm in it. So I have to make sure I do it. So when we travel, I don't eat, I don't drink, I don't do anything. Once I cut off food the day before, I don't have anything else to eat until I arrive at the destination the next day.
I try to do the same because I be getting the bubble guts when I fly. So I'm I don't want to be stuck in the airport, with that kind of feeling, and I don't want to get on the plane and have that kind of feeling for sure because those bathrooms are not fat friendly. So I'm not fucking with that. So yeah, but I'm prepping. I gotta get my packing going. I got my clear, so clear is pretty dope. I don't know if you have clear, but clear is like it's all done by your eyes, so you don't gotta take your belt off. You don't gotta take shit off. You go through, scan your eyes, and keep it moving. It's like
thought about getting it, but we only travel once a year, so I was like, make no sense. Plus, I get to skip the line anyway since I'm handicapped.
True, unless it's covered by like a credit card. That's what I did. I got it through the Amex, so they reimburse you for it, and it's just that much quicker. It's like TSA pre-check on steroids.
Gotcha.
The pre-check line is starting to trickle down to poor people, so it's starting to get busy. It's not expensive, and so clear is a little more expensive, and you got a really good background to get clear. So, but I am prepped. I am excited for this trip. This is gonna be one for the books. I've already told myself I'm not letting EJ get me drunk. That is not happening. I'm going to have a drink or two, maybe a little tequila, a shot of tequila here and there, maybe a beer. That's it. I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah. Probably not gonna work. It's probably not gonna work. Pretty sure
not
Eric
allowed.
had that same feeling when he came.
I'm gonna have self-control. All right, let's get into some topics that we had planned. Let's see. 4th of July happened. Did you guys do anything for 4th of July? One thing I didn't go to the beach on the 4th. I went on the 5th. On the 4th, we didn't do anything. We kind of stayed home. The 4th of July, it's crazy. It almost feels like, you ever seen those posts where people are like, what's that? What's one thing that's not racist but kind of feels racist? The 4th of July is kind of getting there. Like the American flag is the American flag is almost it's starting to feel like racism to me, because the way it's used, like the way people are using it as, oh, American, oh, we gotta be, white pride. It's getting to that point. Like, so for me, the 4th of July, I was like, I don't know that I really want to indulge this year. Last year, similarly, kind of just stayed home, and I went out on the 5th to the beach. But 4th was quiet. I didn't even go watch fireworks.
I mean, you also got to.
We said that in the past that that it's been more, that patriotism has been more subtle, like racism. Ever since Trump came around, people were finding this sense of patriotism. Although everything they believe is probably counter to it when you break it down. But yeah, it's kind of been that way since this guy's been around. Especially when you're talking about the immigration and everything else that's going on. It's been feeling that way.
And I would also say that part of that too is you're older, you know what I mean, and then once you're like once you're older though, you start stuff hits different, man. You get to that point where it's like, turn it down, like you know what I mean. So I think that may play a role in it too, because like stuff that used to excite me doesn't like excite me as much anymore. I mean, shit. I can remember like when I still could walk and I still was like going out and stuff. Somebody's like, man, we're gonna meet up at this spot at 10, and I'm like, like it's Friday, I have work today. Like I can't be going out at 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? So I mean, Steve can attest to when we went on the cruise together. I fell asleep in the club. I've been old. I've been old for a long time. You know what I mean? So
medication.
But what I also would add though is I wouldn't call it patriotism. I would call it nationalism. Like being a patriot. Patriotism is about being devoted.
Tom Brady.
You know what I mean? Whereas nationalism is about being devoted to a person or a group. And that's what these people seem closer to as nationalists versus patriots,
Yeah. It just seems that's kind of how it feels. I went to the beach, American flag, bathing suits and shit, and I'm like, okay, I see what time it is.
And you could kind of see this stuff. You could kind of see this stuff beginning. I remember I used to tell people when I was still in the military, like I used to hate all of the, thank you for your service, and we got to play the national anthem before every single event because it felt fake, and people have let that fake patriotism from the country rallying behind from the people rallying behind the country essentially after 9/11 morph into this shit.
That's what I'm saying. That's precisely what I'm saying. It's being masked as patriotism. I'm a true patriot, and really it is just that. I want to make my America great again. We've seen that, we've literally seen that since this guy's been around, and as the countries become more diverse. I mean, there's still places that, they say they recognize national holidays, but Juneteenth is still not a holiday to them, and the
Right. Even though
importance
some
of it.
companies are giving days off of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, there are state governments that are recognizing that that's a holiday, and I mean, our president, pushed it forward, and that was what it was. So, I mean, if you're a true
You think
patriot,
could overturn that? Oh,
hmm?
you think Trump could overturn that?
I guess he could have if
I mean, they
Biden was
could.
the one to.
I don't think they would, but I could see them.
That
I
would be
could.
too blatant.
This is what I can see them doing is making noise about it, but then it never gets there, right? So like they'll say this is something we're gonna do. They'll have the right wing part of the party who pushes for stuff like this. They'll pass it in the House, knowing that it's gonna die in the Senate because there's not enough votes there.
Got you.
And then you can say, yeah, we're trying, we did it. We passed it in the House. You got to give us more seats in the Senate. It'll be something like that.
Well, Silver Lining popped out on the beach on Friday, and normally there's Trump flags flying like crazy. And I only saw one. I had texted you guys and told you I didn't see any, but on the way out, I did see one person set up with a little Trump and MAGA little setup. But usually it's all over the place. So I'm wondering if he really is losing steam, bad debate, but I think people are really starting to see like people are getting a little more informed, right? Like I've heard people talking about some of the stuff that SCOTUS has done recently, and so I kind of wanted you to hit that on your Politiminute VP, is kind of just so people understand, because some of the individuals, and I know EJ, you listen to Buttons Pod, but Ice on there was always someone who was like, oh, I'm not voting. Apparently he had a conversation. Some people kind of told him about some of the things that have taken place recently. And I had a conversation at work with some people that didn't quite understand, what was taking place and what had been changed and how it'll impact us in the future. And now they've kind of changed their stance on some things. And I think, maybe because people are starting to see this stuff play out, it's changed. Like before it was all he's just saying that, like it's this is all a song and dance because he wants to get in, he's doing what it takes to win. But now you're starting to see it play out with the people that he's appointed. So VP, if you can highlight just some of the things that took place recently with the rulings.
I mean, this kind of, and again, EJ, not choosing violence. This is an example, but I think that like what you're talking about, Steve, kind of it brings me back to when we had that conversation about banning books, and I'm saying like this is what's going to happen, and at the time it sounds like you're being hyperbolic, right? Like you're over exaggerating, you're pushing from one extreme or the other, things like that. But these things start off like slippery slope kind of thing, and so you look at these recent rulings where they've done stuff like overturn Roe v. Wade, right? Overturn abortion in 2022, and then they say, oh, okay, we're gonna just let it go back to the states. The states are gonna decide, and then now you see some states that have outright banned abortion. Some states ban it at 6 weeks when most women don't even know they're pregnant until they're past 6 weeks, which means that it's effectively banned. They tell you that, oh, there's all these exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother. And then we see women in Texas having to leave because they can't get an abortion in Texas because the doctor won't do it because they're afraid to go to prison. We see women in Idaho having to be airlifted out of the state into other states in order to get an abortion. We see women in states who are going into some kind of health emergency that not only requires them to have an abortion, but because it's too late, they end up having to have a hysterectomy and lose their reproductive rights, not rights, but reproductive ability altogether. This is stuff that's happening, and these are things that people have warned about what's going to happen if they overturn Roe. And they say, you're just being hyperbolic, you're being an extremist, et cetera, et cetera. And then here we are. We see the court overturn the Chevron doctrine. Chevron doctrine, basically, Chevron deference essentially said that courts should defer to experts. So when the Congress says, hey, EPA, you're responsible for making sure the water's clean, the EPA has people who are scientists who have studied this stuff, who have been working it for years. They're experts. They go out and do tests. They talk to other people who are in the scientific community. They fund research. They go through years of processes before they come up with a rule that says, hey, you can't put this chemical in water. Now it's going to be judges who decide that. The EPA will say you can't put this chemical in water, and then some company will say, well, I don't think it's that bad. And then you're going to have some judge who says, yeah, I don't think it's that bad. And then we all live with the consequences and stuff in water, in air, in your safety regulations. And then when folks have made this argument that I'm making, saying that because of Chevron, you're going to start seeing stuff be overturned this week. They already brought a case right after Chevron was overturned, trying to get OSHA banned, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, that makes a lot of workplace safety rules, right? And the Supreme Court declines to hear the case. And then Clarence Thomas writes a dissent saying, not only should we have heard this case, I think OSHA is unconstitutional. And typically what happens
It's crazy.
What happens there is this is Clarence Thomas signaling to the right-wing legal ecosystem, right? You need to start bringing cases, because maybe my colleagues on the court didn't think this case was the vehicle to overturn OSHA. So you're going to see in the next year lawsuits in Texas, Louisiana, California, Arkansas, New York, wherever. So that way they tee up 10, 12, 15 cases, and maybe one of them will be the right case for SCOTUS to take, and then maybe get rid of OSHA and say OSHA is unconstitutional, it violates the law. So that this is how we get here. It starts off, that old saying, if you give a mouse a cookie, then what? He's gonna want a glass of milk. You know what I'm saying? And so they start off with a little bit, and then they just keep biting and biting and biting and biting.
This is the problem with the institution, though, because we talk about the things that possibly can happen, and then on the flip side, the things that should be in place to check these things and work that they're supposed to work, they don't work. Like we have no remedy for the Supreme Court and the fuckery that they do. We don't.
That shit is crazy to me.
And then on the flip side, when we the people are sitting here saying, give us the student loans, give us this, give us that, nothing. And so I say again, from the left side of things, and like I talked about last pod, and it seemed that Kamala tried to, take a swing at this and get on the BET Awards and, try to reach the common people. They've got to do more. The opposition has to do more. You can no longer fight this fight in the traditional sense. We can no longer have this belief that we're just going to walk down the aisle and we're all going to see it the same way and we're going to make sense. You can't do it anymore. So, I mean, at what point do we get in the mud and figure this out? And how do we fight fire with fire? And what do we do? What other alternatives do we have?
Yeah. I think we've kind of screamed it from a mountaintop, or from the bottom, wherever you want to figure where we are, that they need to get out in front of people, specifically Kamala, and they have to stop using her like she's just just a tool for that. We don't see her until they need us. Like, we should see her all the time. And because what happens is you have people feeling that way and thinking that way. Like, yo, she's just a pawn. She's being used as a pawn. And I get, like, we talked about how often did we see Joe Biden? How often did we see when he was a vice? How often did we see Dick Cheney and them? Like, but we saw them a little bit. Like, we barely hear her name. Like, I see Buttigieg more than I see Kamala. And I don't follow politics. So for me to see him is crazy. But I'm glad that we've seen her pop out. We saw her at the BET Awards. As much as we call it pandering, I understand the need for it, and I hope it continues. the New York Post isn't doing, I don't think they're doing Republicans any favors talking to black people, saying that she could be the first potential DEI, diversity president, yeah, and inclusion,
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
yeah, inclusion president, because black women and hopefully black men will take to that and understand it, but someone has to highlight it, right? Because if you don't know what DEI is, you're just thinking, oh, and I think the bulk of the people, again, the voters that I say that are needed, are not the educated ones. Like, it's not the ones that sit in the offices. Those are not the votes you need. And the people that sit in the offices know what DEI is, but the people that are digging holes and doing labor work, ask them what DEI is. They don't know. They probably don't got HR.
Well, I will say that EJ mentioned the BET Awards, and
They don't got HR construction companies, do they?
Yes.
Am I
they
off?
should.
They should.
Well, they should. They should. But all right, go ahead. Sorry.
But no, shout out to Taraji P. Henson, because she hosted the BET Awards,
She
and
getting
she went on that
finer as she get
monologue.
older, ain't she?
She went on that
All right.
on that monologue about
That's me.
Project 2025, and since then, like, we've seen Google searches in it spike, and people are starting to realize like what's in this thing. And you see this week, Trump comes out. I know nothing about Project 2025. The people in it are, I don't know who these people are, even though one of the main leaders of it is a guy named Jesse McEntee, who was Trump's staff secretary while he was in the White House. Started off as Trump's body man, meaning the guy who carries his bag. He hands him the hand sanitizer, passes Diet Cokes, stuff like that. And then ends up becoming staff secretary. And
Trump don't drink Diet Coke.
he does. That's all he drinks is Diet Coke. Yeah. So
and McDonald's. Crazy.
Yeah. So quick side note on how Jesse McEntee becomes staff secretary, even though the job sounds like, like it's some bullshit. It's actually a very, very important job. But he's Trump's body man. The guy who carries the bags, passes the hand sanitizer, Diet Cokes, right? That kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're walking in the colonnade, that little hallway you see outside where they usually photograph the president from or whatever. And Trump's like, man, I'm having a real hard time with such and such or whatever. And the so-and-so who's in this job, guy sucks. And he's like, you think you can do that job, Jesse? And he was like, probably. Hired. That's a true story.
Damn.
So back to what Taraji was talking about, though. Right. And
but the point I wanted to make is that people are saying, let's get that guy back in charge. You know what I mean? The guy who just hired his bag man, whatever. But anyway, so now we see, people searching Project 2025 and becoming a little bit more aware of it. And now you see Trump come out and I don't know about Project 25. I don't know anything about it. I'm not associated with because this shit is bad. You know what I mean? They're talking about coming in right away and firing anywhere between 15 to 50,000 federal employees and replacing them with, MAGA loyalists. They're talking about getting rid of the Department of Education, cutting veterans benefits, privatizing the VA, getting rid of Social Security and Medicare, and all these kinds of things like that. And they're saying, like, the stuff that we're talking about getting rid of, this is stuff that we can actually get rid of without using the Congress. This is stuff Trump's going to be able to do with his executive power. You know what I'm saying? And and so I think that, I hope that people are starting to see this and say, like, this shit is not a game. You know what I mean? And I think that there are some people out there who think, these politicians are going to just do whatever they want. It doesn't matter how I feel. And to some extent, that might be the case. That probably is the case. I won't even say might be, right? But
it is the case.
There's a difference between one party that still believes in democracy and another one who is pushing the country towards authoritarianism. And I don't think that we can play a game like that in this coming election.
It is the case though, VP, and that is the problem with that. I'm saying you isn't a problem. I'm saying it is. I'm saying this is the problem, the apathy that our people in the streets are feeling. to your point where the Google searches increased because of that appearance on the show, this is what happens when you're not connected with your base. Why aren't blue states with blue governors across the country having these conversations, having
Screaming this shit.
town halls about this stuff, having
Mhm.
these discussions? This traditional way of thinking that we're just gonna play politics as usual, it can't happen this way. And when you get to your people, and not just for election season, but when you actually meet them where they are, in these inner cities where people are actually hurting, and it's not just election time and you're talking to them, when you meet them where they are and you get some real education and some real conversations going, you can see a big difference. But they got to get out in the street. They've got to.
I don't disagree with that.
I'm
The
not
only
saying you
my
don't. I'm
only
just
no no
saying this is what
my
I
my
think.
no, and I think that you're right. My only pushback to you is that this stuff that you're saying is happening. Now, I would say it could happen to a larger degree, right? We could step it up more, right? But it's what I always come back to. Like we, the people, us, we have to take some responsibility.
I got to stop you. You feel it's happening because you pay attention. It's not happening. It's not
Because
happening the
I'm
way
paying
it
attention
should
to it,
happen.
I mean, it's happening.
It's not
It's
happening.
not. It's not
It's
reaching
not
who it should
happening.
reach.
Exactly.
That's
It's not
That's what I
happening
just
the
said.
way. No, you're saying it's happening, but you don't think it should happen. No, your level of thinking is happening to me is virtually non-existent on the other end. You know it's happening because you're paying attention. To the everyday person, it's not happening.
yeah.
They're
So
not seeing it.
maybe it's happening, but it's not effective. They're not executing effectively.
Right.
Is
That's what I'm
ideally
saying. They
what's
could
going
step
on.
it up. They could do more, right?
But the other thing is like to EJ's point. I think VP agrees with this. Why are you waiting until 4 months before the election to sound the alarm on this shit? Like you knew this was a thing. We knew this was a thing for the last 4 years. You could have started this even if you wanted to get a late start. You could have started it 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like you could have started a year ago. But we're coming down to the nitty gritty. We lose a debate, and now we're like, oh shit, let's hit the red button. Is that what they were using that for? Was that what they were waiting for? Because now it looks reactive, and the people that don't pay attention are seeing all the media the next day after the debate. I know VP on your side of things, where the educated people that follow politics were saying not a big deal. On the other side of things, where I hang out on social media, all of the timelines, and you tell me my algorithm is far left, okay, but all of them, even the far left ones, were like, we in trouble. So if that's what you're seeing, and now it's like, all right, break the glass and use Project 2025, those people are seeing, yo, Biden just lost. He does look like shit. He's an old guy. The nigga fell asleep on TV. And then the next thing is, oh, by the way, he's trying to do this. You know, they,
So
they got to get ahead of this stuff. They got to stop being reactive and start being
I,
proactive.
I
so
definitely
VP,
agree with
before you go again, my logic is this. It's an old saying. To be early is to be on time, to be on time, to be late is to never been there at all. And if your message is only reaching the people like you might as well say it's not doing anything or it doesn't exist at all. And again, something has to change. Steve made an excellent point. You're breaking the glass now in the election year. Why, when you ran, you go, you on the Breakfast Club, you on this show, you on that show, you on this show. Now, months before the election, you go to the BET Awards, where like it's so many platforms, there's so many levels. She's tapped into the HBCU presidents. Why hasn't there been a cry to call to these universities in the red states, in the blue states, to have rallies about these things? Again, I haven't heard my governor talk about this. I haven't seen anywhere in blue states where governors, senators, houses of representatives, anyone are talking about Project 25. I haven't seen it.
So I got you. And again, and I don't I agree with what you guys are saying. I think that the degree of communication can be stepped up to talk about this stuff more, right? But again, it's not that it's not being talked about. And one of the news programs I watch, the guy always asks this question, and he says, I don't understand why this is breaking through. I know my viewers, the host is saying my viewers are aware of this because people tweet at me. I get emails, social media, DMs, stuff like that about people saying, why aren't you talking about it more? But with a lot of people, sometimes it's some stuff doesn't break through. And, luckily, what Taraji said, it seems to have broken through to people and people are becoming more aware of it. And some of it also is, media, right? And, I've said this to you guys, that I feel like, Biden, our side of things, are not only fighting Republicans and Trump, they're also fighting the media because the New York Times, for whatever reason, I don't know if they just don't like Biden. I don't know if they're mad because he won't give them an interview or whatever. But you look at their website yesterday, or it might have been the day before yesterday, and they had 8 negative stories about Biden on there. And again, the debate was bad. I've acknowledged that it was bad, et cetera, et cetera. But like the guy he's running against is a convicted felon that's talking about overturning democracy. And there was 8 negative stories in there about Biden on the front page of their website, and so it's hard to break through when that kind of stuff is you're up against or whatever. So, but can they do more? Absolutely. Should they have done more earlier? Absolutely. But I just don't agree that they're not saying this stuff. I agree that it's not reaching the people that should be hearing it, but this stuff is being talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I get it that it actually is happening, but again, if it isn't reaching the people it needs to reach, it's just like it's not happening. And a lot of the people that we're talking about that need to be galvanized to vote, they don't look at the media. They don't look at the regular news outlets. They find shit from the Shade Room, from the Breakfast Club, from
Right. But EJ,
all these different outlets.
Let me hit you with this, right? I could see a person like the people who Steve talk about that we need to be reaching, and I'm assuming you're talking about these same folks, right? I could see that person in their car driving to work, and then Charlemagne says, "All right, we're bringing on President Biden or whatever." And the person's like pandering, switch over to Joe Biden.
No. Again, you had to, as a politician, when Obama was running, Jeezy made an entire anthem that reached a whole demographic of people that normally would not have cared. The people we're talking about, they might not call it pandering because they might not educationally know that word to say that, but you don't have to use Biden as the face. Get these people, these Taraji, these celebrities, these people that everyday people idolize. Those are the people that you get to bring your message out to you. This is the problem I have with this party. We find the sauce, we find the way, and instead of going back to the well, we don't massage that leverage. Just like when Obama did win, Jeezy couldn't even come into the White House because he has a criminal record. That should have never happened. That should have been handled from the beginning, taken away and dealt with. You go back to the well and you go back to these artists, the Kendrick Lamars, the J. Cole's. Kendrick Lamar probably could reach more people than Joe Biden could right at this moment. You got to get more creative.
That's what Kamala need to be dancing to.
So
she did say it. She was like, they not like us.
I hear you, right?
But it's funny.
I don't disagree with you, EJ. I don't. But I'm also telling you, Kamala had a bunch of hip hop artists at the vice president's house celebrating the 50-year anniversary of hip hop or whatever. And a lot of the conversation I see about that is pandering, like they don't really care about all this.
But it's because it's so far and few between, right? And because she does it and then she hopes it takes flight, right? So I never see her, and maybe this isn't her, maybe this is them telling her not to, but I never see her highlighting that. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna have Fat Joe, I'm gonna have all these people, Khaled, all of them here, right? And then I'm gonna hope that their social media projects this versus coming out, posting it, and being like, yo, I had these people, then interacting with them afterwards. Let me give you an example. In 2020, when or prior to 2020, well, actually 2020, when we were in the pandemic, and they had the verses, Kamala Harris pops up in the verses, right? Here we are 4 years later. She pops up at the BET Awards. Where have you been for the last 4 years not talking to us, right? In between, you had a couple people at the White House, you know, from the HBCUs, and then you had a couple of people from the hip hop community at I'm not at the White House, but you know, at her place, and then a couple people from hip hop, right? I need that regularly, right? I need that. It doesn't have to be a cadence of monthly or weekly or anything like that, but you got to do something, whether it's quarterly, semi-annually, where people are saying, all right, these people really are keeping an eye on us, and they're not just popping up saying, hey, we need your vote.
I got you.
Precisely.
Right. So let me
precisely your point is exactly what I'm saying. Kamala has this thing at her residence. It's private, it's cut off. None of the guys, none of the people, none of the men and women that attended this event went on their socials to say, yo, this is what I learned. This is what's going on. I was here with the VP. She cares about your issues. She cares about you as the people. None of them did that. It looked like an elitist.
They was just playing spades
move, and where people that the top 5% of this demographic came and were invited. None of us were there at the cookout. It did not feel real. That's why you could say it was pandering, because we didn't have access to it. They didn't speak to us at all.
So again, I saw this thing on artists' socials and on White House feeds, right? So it happened, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing to what you guys are saying, and this comes from a me versus you guys, in the way that I consume political media versus you guys and the everyday man that you're saying you're speaking for here today, right? There isn't much that's changed from Obama to Biden, right? The same things, a lot of the things that Obama was doing, when he was president, Biden is doing, right? Celebrating hip hop, like Biden or I'm sorry, Obama had you know, you have the guys from Hamilton come through or whatever. You know, other events they would have at the White House, like celebrating.
I ain't see no NCAA picks. Like I ain't see him pop out for the NBA Finals.
Obama had
the difference is
Obama had a much more community reach, a much more community.
Obama playing basketball with people.
He came to states and cities and had speeches continuously for the masses. Biden comes into town. Biden comes into town when the bridge collapses. He ain't been in Baltimore and DC and had no rallies in the hood.
Obama was in Baltimore and DC and rallies in the hood.
He had rallies in the hood. He did not. He definitely did. He definitely went to cities across the country.
Joe pop out for a piece of fried chicken once in a blue.
Let me go back to the point that I'm making. A lot of the stuff that is happening is traditional, like White House shit that happens.
That's the problem.
The difference. No. Let me finish. The difference is when it's Obama, the media covered it as, oh, look at this guy, so hip, he's so cool. You know what I mean? Whereas with Biden, they're like, this guy is fucking old. Like nobody wants to hear that shit or whatever.
Everybody need to start smoking bogeys, because that's how Obama got us, and then he stopped.
You've literally had New York Times reporters who have come out and said they miss covering the Trump White House because it was more stuff happening. Biden's boring. He's just governing. That's boring. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
You keep going back to your way of digesting information. No, the people we're talking about don't read the Times. They don't care. They get their news from others. So
they got 5 minutes in between putting their kids to bed, 5 minutes between dropping their kids off to look at their phone real quick, check their socials, and then the first thing that pops up on their social is, Hollywood Unlocked saying Biden.
Jay-Z's walking in the walking club.
Right. Like that's where people are getting, and it's just because that's where we live today in society. People are consumed by their phones, and when they're looking at their phones, they're not going to MSNBC, they're not going to CNN, they're not going where you would look this stuff up. They're going to Facebook, they're going to Instagram, they're going to Twitter, and then because they're looking at certain things, their algorithm isn't shooting that stuff to them. Certainly, if they're not on X, if you're not on X and making a conscious effort to get leftist news, because I only get it because I'm associated with you in some way, but my shit is full of right wing stuff because that's what Elon is pushing. Regardless of
So,
what you like, if you're not
uh,
seeking these people, you're not turning on notifications. I get more right wing stuff than I get left.
so let me say this. Um, and the point that I'm making, the point I've been making anytime that we have this conversation is that, you know, I think that people have to, can politicians in the party do more in messaging? Absolutely. Anything can always be better, right? But at the same time, people have to take some personal responsibility in figuring out what's happening in their country. You know what I'm
You know
saying?
what? I
And to your
got
point about
okay.
the algorithms, to your point about the algorithms, you go into Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever the fuck, you know, whatever you use for your media diet, right? And you have personally curated that to say, I'm following these things, these topics, these people, right? And so you have curated your media diet to have none of that stuff show up. And then at the same time, you can't say, I've organized my social media following to where I only hear stuff from these people. And then if I don't hear a politician on these things, I don't hear it because Joe Biden or any other high-ranking government official is not going on Drink Champs.
Well, you
So
need to make his way there.
Eric Adams went on Drink Champs, but again, VP, you talk about the responsibility of the American. You're right, but you have to again put yourself in the frame of mind that if I'm as an American living in a city where my house is in between two boarded up homes and rats run through my kitchen, I'm not finding any responsibility
Yeah, I don't
in
have time to
looking to
look
the
for
president.
politicians.
It,
Politicians
it
need to come find me.
I know what it should be, but we got to talk about what it is. And when you feel disenfranchised as a citizen, again, you have to remove yourself from this. You may have come from Miami in the inner city and lived in the projects, but then you became a Marine. You were educated. You've been abroad. You understand these
He
things.
studied fucking political science. Like, dog,
Think about the person.
you
Think
can't put
about the
yourself
person.
up against the everyday person when that was your major in fucking college.
Think about the person that didn't leave Miami, that's still down there, and they're worried about the everyday shit. And it looks like because the government isn't here fixing these things and doing these things that I was born into, it looks like America isn't invested in me. So why would I be invested in America? So again, the people, let me finish. So the people that I look up to on a day-to-day, you were about to say something. The people that I look up to on the day-to-day and my socials, the Rick Rosses, the people that I emulate myself after, the everyday rapper that believes he could be Jeezy, Rick Ross, and all these other people. You have to stop being in this traditional mindset, reaching these people in non-traditional ways. To Steve's point, you had 4 years. You had 4 years. Who's the hottest person? How did we galvanize? You know what, Drake, Kendrick, I don't need y'all beefing right now. I need y'all working together to get me votes. I need you working together to tap into these people, to tap into these spaces where I can't normally reach. This is what needed to happen for 4 years.
Yeah.
And to Steve's point, we're breaking the glass now, months before the votes.
I got you, right. And this would be my slight pushback to that, because I don't think that you're wrong in what you just said. But what I would also say is that person that you're talking about from Miami that is worried about X, Y, and Z, and they're not really plugged into politics, right? You know who's had more impact on their life than their president? It's been their state legislature. And you know who's been controlling their state legislature for 30 years? Republicans.
That's in
If
one
you li-
state. You inflated
but this state I
inflated.
live in, this state that
Hold
you
on,
highlighted.
you inflated my argument to make a reference to your state. Again, I can take my same argument and look at a Maryland, look at a New York, and it ain't happening here, buddy. I understand in a red state like Florida, I get it, but there are politicians, there are districts where there are blue representatives that can be doing more, that can be doing better. Again, I live in Maryland, a blue state. It's not happening here. It's
I
not.
can't wait to see what Maryland looks like next week. It's gonna be an interesting trip. I want a crab cake, man. The pod Instagram got some ill ass food spots, so I'm definitely gonna try and hit some of those. I know EJ's not taking this trip serious. It's gonna just be me rolling around Maryland looking for spades games. I get beat up, drugged. um realistically though, we just need to get these children out of office, right? Like they fight like a bunch of children. They're spiteful. Like Ron DeSantis just recently declined the 248 million that the federal government offered for summer meals for kids. That happened, or they haven't claimed it, and declines to claim it because he says that it has federal it's going to lead to federal requests from Florida and things like that. So it's
Because
just a
it has
mess.
too many strings attached.
Yeah. So don't,
We have a program in place already that matches that, and it comes with strings attached. So we even take
right.
the money.
But so don't tell me that.
You know strings attached is, Steve?
Hmm.
The federal government says, hey, when you're handing out these free lunches to poor people, you can't
Make sure
discriminate
trans
against
people
people
get
who are
it.
LGBT.
Yeah.
Can't have that.
Yeah.
We can't have
And that,
people
and
Can't eat a
why
meal.
can't we starve gay kids?
Jesus Christ.
But I'm saying that's essentially what he's saying, right? Am I wrong?
Basically, no, you're not wrong.
Look, it doesn't matter. And you can't tell people that you care about them, because whether they're gay or not, the people that are benefiting from this are black. So let's not lose sight of that. Gay or straight, the bulk of them are going to be minorities who are not eating in the summertime, these kids. Because it's not white kids walking around that are going to be looking for the free meals if they're not in a summer program or something like that. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. So, forget about, their sexual orientation. Let's talk about what the reality is.
Hey,
You
young
can't.
man, you're wearing a dress. No food for you. Sorry. Like, what are we talking about here?
Crazy.
What do you think they see first? Let me ask you that question. You think they see the dress first, or you think they see the skin tone first?
I think they would see either one first, depending on the situation. Or
EJ, what
I'm
do you
assuming
think?
you mean like if it was a black kid. I'm assuming.
Before
right?
we move on.
That's what you mean, like if it was
I
a
mean,
black kid.
I've always had that argument when it comes to orientation. That your ethnicity, is always going to be most important, because you can play to the cause, right? If you had to, right? Like if you wanted to, if you knew you had to do what you had to do, you could possibly put your beliefs to the side, but it's hard to hide what you look like. So
You could take a dress off. You can't take your skin off.
yeah,
Right?
basically.
That's what you're saying. But to me, I feel like they're seeing skin. They're thinking skin first, right? I think when they have these conversations, regardless of you're walking at them, that's different. When I say see, I don't mean that like literal. I mean when they're having these conversations backside, they're not thinking, oh, it's the gays, we got to stop the gays. I think the people that are really striking this shit down are thinking more of the minorities. How do we get minorities out of here? If we turn a program like this down, maybe they'll start to leave Florida and go places where they have these programs. That's how I see the shit. And that's DeSantis.
And let's say that was the argument, right? And I mean, who knows, right? But let's assume that it was for a second, right? But even thinking about it from that perspective, even if they're not saying the quiet part out loud, the reason that they likely denied these funds is because the federal government says you can't discriminate against people. If you take this money, you can't discriminate against people. And the state is saying, nah, I can't have that. Wait, you telling me we got to be fair? No,
right.
Nah. You like what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't mean like us literally right now in this conversation, but like
in general.
Weird people are seeing this and saying, "Yeah, let's keep that guy in office."
Yeah,
it's sick. It's sick.
I told you, man. 4th of July starting to look a lot like racism. Anyway, all right. I think that was more than a Politiminute. That was like a Polita 30 minutes or more.
EJ.
EJ, you said you watched. Yeah, right. You said you watched Beverly
Wow.
Hills Cop, the new one, right?
Yeah, Axel.
I liked it.
I liked it. It was on brand. It was on brand for all of the other 3 movies, and it was actually probably better than the third one for sure. And hey, I wish he would have put it in theaters
Yep.
because I think it would have, gotten more acclaim, more, it probably could have rivaled what the success of Bad Boys had. But shit, he getting money, so I mean, he ain't worried about it. Netflix gave him $100 million budget for this film, so I mean, he ain't hurting. I don't know how they get their money back from this stuff, but
Oh, nigga, from you and me. Well, not you, me, because I paid for my Netflix.
Well, they also got
That's
the
racist.
ad version too, so you can if you got Netflix that shows ads, they're selling commercials.
Yeah.
Look,
I hate
my
their commercials,
takeaway.
too. I like the way sorry to get off track for 1 second, Steve. I like the way that Amazon Prime does it. They show ads, but when you start the movie, they show you 3 minutes of ads in the beginning, and then they play the movie
Oh yeah.
instead of
Mhm.
Yeah,
all these breaks in between. I hate that shit.
I don't know.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is gonna sound elitist, and it's not meant to, but I don't have ads for nothing. And it's not because of me. It's because I have a child who can't sit through commercials. You know what I'm saying? So we had the Disney Plus with the ads, and he'd be like, "No commercials." So we took that shit off. Netflix similarly. So it's not an elitist thing, but so I don't know how it works. But I would agree with you if that's the way it happens. If Netflix, we're just watching a movie and it just pops off into a commercial in the middle,
Nigga
I'd be
said,
hot.
I don't know about you poor people, but
Right.
yo,
Listen, I don't want to hear
we don't do that in the black man house.
my my takeaway from Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy is still Eddie Murphy when he wants to be Eddie Murphy. Like
Mhm.
I think he redeemed himself from the piss poor job they did with Coming to America 2 with this
Mhm.
Beverly Hills Cop 4. He did a really really good job in this film in my opinion. He was funny, he was raw, but he still wasn't too raw. Pause. I thought he did a really good job, and even being old, he
Look at
moved.
the chat, EJ.
His body was, he was moving around young. He was jumping and moving and shaking and stuff like that. So I thought he did a good job in it. Um, the shout out to the young lady that played his daughter, Taylor Page. She did a good job. But the biggest one, I'm starting to feel like Kevin Bacon, man. Kevin Bacon might be one of them.
Yeah, he
Like
been one of them. Kevin Bacon been one of them, bro.
but they always the thing about
He don't
Kevin
get
Bacon.
his flowers though.
Yeah, that's what it is. Kevin Bacon don't get his flowers, and I think it's because you will catch Kevin Bacon. I don't think he's put himself in this spot where he thinks he's better than everything. He's almost like a Samuel L. Where you see him taking
That's what I was just gonna say. He's like Samuel L. Jackson. He's in
yeah,
everything.
see him taking some roles where you'd be like, why is Kevin Bacon even here? You know what I mean? And then you see him in something like this where dude, Kevin Bacon played a hell of a fucking role in this movie. Like, I think he did a great job. With the part that he played, and then that other kid that played um what's the name, Detective Abbott or whatever, no,
Oh,
Detective
Gordon. His name is Gordon something.
Gordon Levitt.
Gordon Levitt. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him as an actor, but I thought he did a really good job in this movie, alongside Eddie Murphy. It can't be easy being on a screen with a guy that big in celebrityism. And he kept up with Eddie Murphy and did a really really good job. If you, I know VP probably haven't had a chance to watch it. If you get a chance, watch it. It might be something you drop on your tablet for when you're on the plane. Definitely a good watch, something to sit down and watch from start to finish.
Nah, I actually started it yesterday, and like I literally put it on, And my wife walked in the room and was like, "What you watching?" I was like, "I just put on the new Beverly Hills Cop." And she was like, "I thought we were watching it together." I'm like, "Oh, turn it off."
Yeah.
But,
Yo, I think you're right though, Steve. To use Gordon Levitt, in that role was a big risk because he's been around. He's had some really solid roles. I mean, even going back to the Dark Knight, where he played the potential Robin in that series. But yo, I mean, I think you hit it on the head. Seeing Eddie Murphy going back to being the raw, unfiltered comedy, that he still got that pocket, and I think he's talked about doing another stand-up. And I hope that if he does do one, it's gonna be super duper, unfiltered and Eddie Murphy like. But I definitely enjoyed this film, and Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's one of those guys like a Johnny Depp, and they just got range. I mean, you talking about this guy's been acting since Footloose, Tremors. He did The Invisible Man. I mean, he's been the all-time villain for a long time in a lot of different roles. I mean, so yeah, shout out to Kevin Bacon, man. It was a good project. I really liked it.
It had to be expensive, yo. With I mean, just those three. Those are some those are big actors right there, And then you throw in the old school people that were in there that that came from before. They brought them back. It had to be pretty. Oh, and Louis Guzman, that's my guy. That's my guy.
I love him as an actor, but he kind of, that was the one part I was like, come on, yo, because I'm like, yo, this dude is Puerto Rican. Y'all could have got an actual Mexican. He was supposed to be like, this dude is Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican.
But he always plays Mexican parts.
No, he usually plays something else.
He was in Narcos, Carlito's Way. He plays all types of, as long as it's Hispanic, it's just a face. It's a face that's known. It was good. I also watched a couple other things I watched since we're here. I watched King of Collectors, the first season of that. That was pretty dope. It's also on Netflix. It's I forget the guy's name, but he's basically looking at cards, collectibles and stuff, and they're talking about
cards.
Cards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, cards, jerseys, sneakers, stuff like that are collectibles, and the valuables and the conversations that he has to have to get them. That was pretty good. There was something else I watched on Netflix that was good, that I didn't want to miss. Oh, I finished. No, I didn't finish. I'm caught up on The Mole season 2. EG, I don't know if you watched that. It's another one of them Netflix reality joints that it caught me. It's a good one. You should watch it
when you get a shot. When that show first aired, and then I haven't watched it on Netflix. So when it used to come on ABC back in the day.
Oh, it did come on? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it did. I couldn't remember where I saw that joint from before. I was like, I could not remember where I saw it from. Yeah, you're so right.
Netflix bought the rights to from ABC.
I liked it when it was on ABC.
Yeah, I
like the way that they produced it. I don't know that I saw the little bit I saw from Netflix, but I'm gonna have to watch it though. That show used to give me anxiety, yo.
Yeah,
so I was like, yo, who's doing this? Mad as shit. Like, who's doing this?
Yeah, watch the Mole. It was good. It is good so far. I want to say it was good. It is good so far. And damn, I can't find the other thing. Netflix has to do better with this. I'm looking at my my account and can't find what the other thing is that I watched. But I watched what is this shit called? I think EJ, you were talking about this. What's this? Tell Them You Love Me.
Oh, tell them you love me. Yeah,
that shit is filthy, dog.
Yeah,
that shit is filthy. Did you see what that's about, VP?
No.
It's also on Netflix. Well, it's on Netflix. It's a dude that has what do you have? Cerebral palsy.
Yeah, cerebral palsy. Yeah,
and he had a therapist that came in, and she was working with him, and she ends up basically, taking it from him and saying she fell in love with him. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And telling his family that she knows better for him, and that he's typing into the key, even though she's moving his hands, he's typing into the keyboard his decisions that he wants to be. It's a wild one. It's a wild one. Yeah, it's a wild one.
The wildest part about it is that she's free to talk about it.
And that's the other part. That's the other part.
Oh, this is like a true story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you see the real people. You see the real people. So when you see homie, let me tell you something. When you see homie, you're gonna be like, first of all, she's a sick individual. Sick. He can't tell you if he's coming or going. He can't tell you if he's coming or going. He can't tell you his name. So
tell me the name of it one more time.
Tell them you love me.
Okay, we'll put that on the list right now.
Yeah, it amazes me that, not only was she free, I mean, to talk about it, granted, she probably would have lived out any sentence that they might have imposed based on the crime, but the fact that she's even there in Netflix involved in telling this story and probably getting some kind of monetary benefit from it, it's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy.
That shit is crazy, dog. Wait till you see it. It's gonna make you mad. It made me mad. It made me mad. And then Power. I'm caught up on Power. Did you watch this week's Power, EJ?
Yep.
Shout out
it
to
was
Michael
it was a mid-season, basically the mid-season finale. So it's not coming back on until September.
Was this it? I thought there was one more.
Nope, that was it. The next one doesn't come back till September.
Oh, that was not a
now you're pissed off.
Yeah. Yep. They could have done better with the mid-season finale. I think it gave us more.
I watched that. I've been watching The Acolyte for those Star Wars fans, like myself. Nerd. Well, Eric claims he's Star Wars fan, but he doesn't like any of the properties after the 70s joints. It seems like like
I'm a Star Wars
fan. Yeah. So I mean, The Acolyte is cool. I mean, if you get into it,
I got to start it. I just haven't yet.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's one of those slow burns. It's a lot that could be done better, but it is good in the whole realm of the Star Wars ethos of storytelling.
I like Carrie Ann Fisher. I thought her career would go a lot better than it did after The Matrix, because you don't really see her a lot of places, or at all.
Well, when you watch it, let me know.
Or is it Moss? It's Carrie Ann Moss. I don't think it's Carrie Ann Fisher. Whatever her name is.
Yeah, Carrie Ann Fisher is somebody else. But when you watch it, tell me how you feel about that one. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I've been watching with the kids this DC property that they've put on Netflix called The Dead Boy Detectives. It's one of those quirky type, dark type shows that you just would never even watch on a regular. But I find it just for me to watch it with the kids. So that's cool.
Yeah, Carrie.
And the boys, man, that show is so overrated. I don't see how
last week too.
I mean, I literally skipped the whole season just to catch up to be where it is today. And I realized like the only reason people like that show is because it's gory and it's just like you see wild things happen. But it's no great acting in it. The plot, I mean, granted, I know it's based off comics, but just everything that they do is weak. I mean, I don't like it at all. I don't like it, but I'm invested, so I keep watching it. I got to see this thing through, but I can see why people don't like it.
I mean, you're the first person I've ever heard that said it wasn't good, but I just haven't got around to watching it just because, like, from my understanding of the premise, it was supposed to be like, I guess, retired. My understanding of the premise is that it's retired superheroes, and there's like this, almost like The Incredibles. Like there's like this agency that kind of like polices them or something like that. But I could be wrong.
Similar.
That's what I thought it was about.
It's basically like this world that superheroes live in, and there is like an agency that kind of like promotes them almost like they're superstars and kind of governs them. And there's a team, I can't think of the guy's name, but he basically leads a team of people that hate superheroes because they've done foul things to people over the years. And so it's this back and forth about, trying to get them out of here or do this or do it. And it's it's comic related, but I just don't like how Amazon's done it. And really it's just gore. It's just gore. Like the parts that you will like, because it's a lot of old shit moments and it's gory and it's crazy. But outside of that, it's not a lot. It's not a lot to it.
Gotcha. For me,
But you will have some old shit moments though.
Yeah. For me, I haven't really watched anything new except for I saw the new Kung Fu Panda movie. Didn't like it. It was okay. I did not like it, but it was just okay. The main thing that was the big turnoff for me was the original cast is not there. It's Jack Black, it's Dustin Hoffman and Shifu, and that's it. No Lucy Liu, no Angelina Jolie and Seth Rogen and all of them who played the other characters or whatever, Jackie Chan or whatever. It's just those three people or those two people, and then
budget baby,
and then they brought in Aquafina as like the second, like the B star to Jack Black or whatever. Yes, I didn't care for it that much. Out of the four, I would say it's definitely last. It felt like a cash grab, but check that out. I also watched I started this movie on Netflix called A Family Affair, and you know how my thing about Netflix, so it seemed like it was one of those Netflix movies. They just threw some money at somebody who was famous. It's like, hey, put this thing out, and I couldn't even finish it. It was I think I watched the first 25 minutes and was like, I'm done. I'm checking out. So it's with Nicole Kidman and
I started that too.
And it basically what the movie's about, EJ, is Zac Efron is like a huge celebrity, and he starts dating his assistant's mom. That's what it's called, A Family Affair. And
I think I saw that.
I couldn't finish it, and it was like the writing was bad. Even though I think Nicole Kidman is a great actress, like it seemed like she couldn't overcome the writing. It was terrible. And so
he couldn't save it.
Well, let's talk about how slow House of the Dragon is running. They are slow.
Slow?
They slow walking this shit. Slow walking this. Is this an action show or is it just sci-fi fiction chatter bullshit? Give me some action.
Do you recall me telling you that this whole series is based off of one chapter in a book?
Well, they better make the chapter a little more fun. The most action I got out of this episode was my boy Damon kicking the door in. That was all the action we got. Crazy. But now I thought it was a dope ass. I thought they did a good job with playing back the Aegon the Conqueror shit, because I wasn't thinking that. Obviously, I didn't read the books. I wasn't thinking that, and it was cool to see that homegirl Allison was just like, "Oh, there's two. It don't matter, bitch. It don't matter. It's my Aegon. It's my shit. You should probably leave. You should probably, now that you're right, typical. It's just like any other argument you get into, right? With your lady.
The showrunners messed up by doing that too, by making it seem like Allison is like, oh crap, maybe he did mean Rhaenyra, because if you go back to season 1, remember that episode where they go hunting, where Rhaenyra runs off with Christian Cole that one time or whatever, out in the woods? There's a scene in there where Allison and the king of Viserys are standing in front of the bonfire, and he tells her about the dream or about the Song of Ice and Fire. And then he tells her, I had a dream that it was my son sitting on the throne wearing the conqueror's crown. His son Aegon is now sitting on the throne wearing the Conqueror's crown, the black crown from Aegon the Conqueror. So, Alicent probably would think that he meant her kid, based on that.
Alicent, she's starting to glow up a little bit.
This guy, he can't focus on anything but the cheeks. Yo, I was pissed. I was joking though. I was just like, this is why they can't run the country. She should have just stabbed her in the neck and kept it moving. Nah, but I mean, I see where they're going with it. It's that moment where everything is kind of going to crash to a head because Alicent knows the truth and Rhaenyra knows the truth, and it's still no retribution here. So instead of calming everything and saying there's been a understanding, let's figure this all out. They dug back in, and here's where the real war starts, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. Like if you are familiar with the source material, like that episode was basically, they were essentially saying in that whole episode that these wars can start for any reason, and then once they start, nobody really remembers why they started, right? And that's why it starts off the way that it does, showing what happens between the Blackwoods and the Blackwoods and crap, I can't think of the other house's name right now. It's just slipping out of my head. But anyway, that
in the middle of the field, whatever.
Yeah. Because that house, those two houses, if you remember when Rhaenyra goes on the Bachelorette in season 1 or whatever, and those two dudes start fighting, you know what I'm talking about?
Okay,
I don't remember.
So when Aegon, when Viserys tells her she needs to get married, so he sends her out on a tour to start like meeting all these eligible like lords to get married, and then she's at Storm's Inn.
Sending your daughter to get her back blown out is crazy.
And all these dudes are like, "This is why you should marry me. This is why you should marry me," or whatever. And then these two people start fighting or whatever. One was like a little boy, and one was like a teenager.
I remember.
That's the same two houses that we see in this last episode. For them, their beef it started like 300 years ago from where we are now in House of the Dragon. It was like 300 years earlier. And the story is that it was over some kind of land dispute where they're standing at in episode 3. There's a hill behind them, and it's called like it's some woman's name, so like Denise's tits or something like that, because the hills supposedly are shaped like breasts or whatever. And the dispute is that the hill belonged to this one house, and the other house like moved some land markers and now claimed that territory. And then it's been 300 years, and they just keep killing each other, over and over for any reason or whatever. And then so you have that happen. Then you have the fight with the brothers, and then like Rainey say, did the fight start because they took your throne, or did it start because your son took Aemon's eye? Did it start because Aemon killed your son? Did it start because whatever happened to this person, or whatever happened because they sent this assassin to try to get you because somebody killed Aegon's son or whatever? You know what I mean? Like pretty soon nobody's gonna know why it started or whatever. So and that's kind of how these things go with these wars, is that they just keep, it's a cycle. They just keep happening and happening, and nobody really, maybe it starts for a righteous reason, and then it gets to a point where people don't even know why it started.
So what about the showrunners confirming the dragons? How does that all work out?
Cool. That's not something that happens in the book, but it was pretty cool for them to say that's that's what that is.
Why did it take so long to, like, how does that happen in the canon of the show? Like, if this is
for them to hatch like 397 years later or whatever.
Well, no, they don't take that long to hatch. Basically, like in the show's canon, there's no real like science to like how they hatch the eggs. Like they have to be kept warm. They know that part. They know that much.
Everybody knows you got to sit on an egg to hatch it.
But typically, like what they do is when one of the Targaryen babies is born, they go and pick a dragon egg and they put it in the cradle, and then that baby like sleeps with the egg for a certain amount of time to like bond with it. And then if that egg hatches, that dragon becomes their dragon, and then they grow up with the dragon. But because these dragons can outlive the riders, the dragons have multiple riders. whereas the person usually only has one dragon or whatever. So like Vagar, for example, the big dragon that Aemon, to do with the one eye has, that dragon is like 200 years old or something like that, you know. So
Yo, they could stop showing Eamon naked too, by the way. Like, dog. And it wasn't enough to show us him laying down like a naked alien. They had to show us full frontal the next episode. All right, HBO, we get it.
Yeah, that full frontal was wild.
Still not one female. Well, I'm lying. There was.
But yeah, so that's kind of like the canon of it, is that it's just they lay with the baby, and then at some point, you know, they put them on those braziers and the heat thing they was carrying them in, and that's supposed to make them hatch. But sometimes eggs don't hatch, which is what's going on with Rhaena, the black sister, the one who left, who Rhaenyra sent off with her kids. With her egg didn't hatch, and that's also so that's why she's like, they're sending me out of here because I don't have a dragon, you know, blah blah blah. You know, she's upset because she feels like she's just being tossed aside since she's not a dragon rider because her egg didn't hatch. But it was the same thing that happened to her mom, because remember, before Aemon, her mom had Vagar, and her mom didn't have an egg to hatch, and then she went out and claimed Vagar. She went and found Vagar out in the wilderness and claimed her.
Wow.
I think they missed a great opportunity, and maybe it doesn't play out this way, or didn't play out this way in the books, but I feel like they missed a good opportunity to have what's her face in the field, just like say Dracarys, and have the dragon spit fire. Maybe they even miss, right? Maybe they miss, but I feel like there was an opportunity there to play to Game of Thrones fans who don't read the book.
I thought that was going to happen.
Yeah,
I thought that would happen too.
To bring us to light. Again, even if she misses and doesn't kill any of them, or maybe they just kill, maybe she does hit some bum soldiers, you know what I mean? But not like the big characters. I feel like there was an opportunity there, and I think they just missed that.
I agree with you. I mean, that scene didn't happen in the books. Like, her dragon Moon Dancer in the books is described as being like the size of a horse. So it's probably barely can fly at this point, whereas on the show, it's a big ass dragon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because I mean, we, like, you see in the original series, like the dragons for Daenerys, they hatch in the finale of season 1, and then season 2 they're babies, season 3 they're, you know, like toddler size, and then you get to season 4, you know, they're a little bigger than a horse but not that big, and then when you get to season 5 they're huge, or you know, whatever season that was, you know. So but yeah, but her dragon is like the size of a horse in the books, and I think it can fly, but it's like it barely flies, I think. But here they've made it, you know, big, and she's doing patrols and all kind of crap like that. But that didn't happen in the books at all. But I think you're right. I think they could have did that. They could have had her blow something up, and then maybe, you know, you don't kill Christian Cole, but you get like some of the underlings or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it would have been ill if they did that, but hopefully, I mean, there's an episode tonight, right? Let's hope that tonight's episode is maybe they're hoping people are on holiday, you know, and everybody's tuned in, and now you're geared up after the last 3 episodes, and we saw these 2 together, so now we have to see, you know, is Rhaenyra gonna go back and change her tone, right? Like, she had this tone of, let's be moms, you know what I mean? Let me be a mom about this. Let me talk to another mom. We're both grieved. Let's go see how this works, right? And Shorty was just like, all right, bitch, I like the power that I got, and I'm keeping this power. I don't care what your old ass daddy was talking about.
Basically.
So let's see if Rhaenyra goes back. But now, right, Rhaenyra is going to be without my guy, Big Damon, Big D, pause. Big D with the big dragon with the big neck. Like, he got the deformed dragon. Every time that dragon pop out with the neck, I'd be like, oh, it's a Damon scene. I'd be like, oh, that's Damon. It's crazy that you can start to identify based on that. Like, that's pretty, I think that's pretty dope that they're doing that.
Yeah. It's you know, I'm hoping that it's not going to be a slow burn throughout, because I'm guessing, you know, like post pandemic or whatever the fuck happened, like we're not even getting 10 episodes. We're only getting 8 episodes this season. So I'm
but I
hoping
thought they told us that was going to happen, and it was going to be just longer. I thought we talked about
that's the plan, but I'm hoping that we step it up. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like, because you're only giving us 8 episodes, so
right. This
I
is the
don't
halfway
need.
point.
Yeah, we're the halfway mark, so let's start getting some stuff happening. You know,
I'm with you. I'm picking it
we're
with you.
we're the mid season at this point tonight, so let's step it up.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Let's see. We got news late last night that DeMar DeRozan, this chose Sacramento or was traded to Sacramento in a sign and trade. Do you think that was his fallback team because he couldn't land with the Lakers, or you just think Sacramento had what Chicago was looking for? Because I thought DeMar DeRozan was a free agent.
Well, he probably was a free agent, but they can do free agents can have sign and trades for like big name players. So like when LeBron came to Miami, that was a sign and trade. So I think it's like some kind of contractual thing where it like allows the team losing the guy to get something, but it also allows the guy to get like the right kind of contract because the original team can offer more money or something. Like I don't know how it, like the purpose behind it, but it's probably something along those lines. So
I would say the latter, and that Sacramento probably had more than what Chicago. I mean, probably had more for Chicago to get than what they could have got from LA.
And the Lakers are dysfunctional, man, at this point. You know, you look at what happened with the coach situation, you know, where it seems like all the reporting is JJ Redick was their guy. And then when they started getting pushback, like, no, it's not JJ Redick. We actually going after the Hurley from Connecticut, you know? Like, don't you like him? You know, we couldn't get him because we lowballed him. You know, so I guess we gotta sign JJ. You know, then they draft Bronny, right? And then, you know, they go after Clay. They don't land him. LeBron is old, you know, and then even the Clay situation was nasty because it's my understanding that
they offered him more.
But it's not that they offered him more. In order to give him the money, if he accepted, they had to make some moves. Most teams make the moves first to clear this, to say, yo, sign now. Here go the money. You know, not, hey, say you're going to sign it. We're going to do all these moves to create the money to then sign you. You know what I mean? And so it's like they went in and, you know, and I think we have to, I've been seeing people ask this on some of the talking head shows. And I think this is a legit conversation now. You know, is the Lakers a destination team? Because we keep seeing them missing out on multiple free agents. They don't seem to be well run in terms of management. You know, so maybe the luster's worn off a little bit.
I think people could also be looking at it like, I can go to the Lakers now late in my career, but if I go to the Lakers now late in my career, LeBron's not going to be here much longer, and the Lakers have no draft stock in the next fucking 6 years or some shit like that. Like they have no first round picks. So everything they're going to have to live on is going to be free agency. And I'm going to be a 37-year-old person, 36-year-old person, you know, in a Paul George or DeRozan type thing. By the time LeBron is out of here, AD is going to be aging. Are we going to be able to attract talent, or am I going to go to another dead end situation? So maybe that's what's stopping people from going there right now. You can attract the younger guys, but I think these older free agents are like, let me go to these teams where I can either win now or they can at least build on what they have, like Dallas. You're going to a team that's built to win right now. Sacramento is a team that's built to win right now if they're healthy and they got young talent. In Murray being, you know, a young guy who can spell DeRozan, or if they're in the starting lineup together, he still has fresh legs later in the games. You got De'Aaron Fox, who's still fairly young, Sabonis.
Oh my God.
Get it done.
I'm sorry. I just realized, like, you said spell DeRozan, you meant like give him a break. I thought you meant like somebody spelled his name wrong. Oh my God, yo, my bad.
He's like, aha.
Got him. But yeah, so we'll see, man. Did we hear any other, am I missing any other free agency landings this week that came out?
VP's boy went to Philly too. Martin? Caleb Martin.
Oh yeah.
Him, I get it. You know, like he was trying to get paid. you know, and it's my understanding that we were offering him like somewhere in the low to mid 20s, and I think Philly offered him 32. So it's like, yo, I'm out. So, which
Yeah,
I mean, I
I
get
don't
the
see him
money. The
moving
thing
to
I never
Philly.
understand though is that you're leaving a no tax state going to Philly, you know. So I mean, I get it. You're probably gonna have a better chance at winning in Philly with what they've
Right.
done this offseason. But you know, if it was about money, I don't understand the move.
Caleb Martin is not
He ain't gonna
he
move the needle.
he's not it, right? So in the run where he did really well was where Miami was doing well, Jimmy Butler was killing, Bam was kind of there, right? Hero wasn't there, so he got some burn. I think what he's thinking is I go to Philly and I'm a fourth, fifth option. You know what I mean? So if they do make a deep run and I make a big three, I could be like a Courtney Lee. Like when Courtney Lee made that shot for the Magic and people were like, yo, and then he fucked up against the Lakers in the finals. So, that screwed up. But, it's not gonna take much for Caleb Martin. And it's an opportunity because he was coming off of a down season last year. If someone's willing to pay me, I gotta go get it now. Because if I have another down season, then I might be stuck with, small contracts for the remainder of my year. Or I might have to go overseas. So I
I,
think
I
that might
think
be looking at.
I think where he can help them is that one, he can handle the ball. So like, he if they need to bring Maxi out and like have him like run the point, for example, like let's say they want to put in a big lineup and like have him run the point or something, they can do that. And he's a pretty good defender. He's it's not like he's gonna win defensive player of the year, but he's a pretty good defender. So
He shuffles
I
his
think
feet.
that'll help them. And then he's like, to EJ's point, he's not like a difference maker. He's not gonna. It's not like they're gonna oh shit, wow. I was just trying to get his height real quick. He's 6'5". So yeah, you can run him at the point in when you're doing big lineups when you want to take Maxi out. But Bleacher Report is saying that the Heat offered Caleb Martin a $65 million contract, and he took 32 with Philly.
Oh, disrespectful.
Shit.
Well, y'all, I mean, let's call it what it is. Y'all don't look like y'all did anything to get better in the offseason.
I mean, I'm not a professional athlete, so I don't know. But my mantra has always been, I'm on my Kenny Power shit from Eastbound and Down, the Danny McBride show on HBO, where he was like, I'm a fan of whatever team pays me the most money.
Yeah. Especially when you're not that guy. Like if you're LeBron, D Wade, you know what I mean? If you're those guys, then you can make that kind of decision. But I'm not leaving 30 million on the table.
Nah.
And I'm him. You know what I'm saying?
Only way I'm leaving money on the table, I have to be like Udonis Haslem. When LeBron came to Miami, Dallas offered Udonis $5 million more. And he was like, I mean, it's $5 million more, but at the time his father was sick. He's from Miami. So he's like, he gets to be closer to home and be close to his dad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're gonna compete for championships here. And I get to be close to my pops who needs me right now. So would I love $5 million more? Sure, but it's not like we're talking about earth-shattering money. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a role player leaving 30 million on the nah, dog. Nah.
And so Team USA reported, and got together this week. And the other thing that stands out for me is, Joel Embiid. I guess I appreciate your newfound connection to Team USA in America, being that you're European, but in the long run is more. I thought he was French, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
I know he's not American. That much I know, but I thought he had allegiance or ties to France, but nevertheless, like, is more basketball good for somebody like Joel Embiid? Cameron, yeah, okay, but he did play in something at some point, right? He has some type of French allegiance, I think. But for me, it's like, is this good for you, Joel Embiid, and your future with the Philadelphia 76ers, that you're going to play Olympic basketball, considering you sat out X amount of games you're injury prone. I don't know that this makes sense for him. And I think
Yeah, I agree.
when you're talking about Philly in this grand scheme of things, you got Paul George who has proven to be injury prone so far, and you have Joel Embiid who's proven to be injury prone. And not only is he, granted, these guys train all year, but you're
Mhm.
gonna get some actual basketball wear and tear on your body. And are you going to be available for the season? So now Philly, you have front loaded all this money to these 3-4 guys. Tyrese Maxey, I think, deserving of it, and a dog. But is Joel Embiid going to be healthy after this stretch of Olympic basketball? Is Paul George going to be healthy for 75% of a season and potentially the playoffs? So Philly, I mean, I feel like they did these moves out of desperation and maybe don't even know if these guys are going to play a full season. I don't know.
So for Embiid, EJ, he was eligible to compete for Cameroon in the 2017 international games for FIFA or whatever. He made the team for the Republic of Congo,
Mhm.
but he ultimately didn't play. Then in 2022, he was granted French citizenship as a foreigner whose naturalization is of exceptional interest. And then later in 2022, in
Mhm.
September, he became a U.S. citizen and then joined Team USA for the Paris Olympics for 2024. And it says that he's
Gotcha.
eligible to play for either Cameroon, France, or the United States.
Gotcha. I knew there was something French about him, but yeah, I just wonder, like, is this a smart play for
It's not.
this franchise when this guy's been hurt and you've invested all this money winning right now with this team right now? I mean, as a
Yeah.
Knicks fan, hey, if it keeps you out, hey, you know what I'm saying? But
If I'm the people who run the Philadelphia 76ers or the people who run the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm like, hey, Joel Embiid, AD, I need to go sit y'all ass down somewhere.
Yep.
Like, I mean, if you want to go to Paris to like watch the Olympics, cool. But like
Nah, because
participate, nah.
knowing AD, he'll catch a stray. He'll be on the sideline, and somebody will fall into his leg, out for the year.
Like,
Um,
nah.
from a
LeBron, fine.
free,
You know, all those other guys, fine. You two motherfuckers, no.
yeah,
No.
go sit down, have a seat. From sorry, from a free agent standpoint, it might surprise you, but Thanasis Antetokounmpo is still unsigned, and hasn't agreed to go anywhere.
yeah,
The I think the best remaining free agent that there's no rumors and no contract for at this moment is Precious Achua. And I don't know what the Knicks are gonna do. I think he's looking for some big bucks. And so I don't know that he's gonna get back with New York. I would love to see him landing with the Magic. I hate the Magic fans because the Magic fans are sitting here trying to tell me Contavious Caldwell Pope at 31 years is the difference maker we needed. And I'm like, I like the signing, but he's not going to be the difference. He's not getting us over the hump. We need someone to get us over the hump that can score. I even like Seth Curry out there. He's 33, but he can shoot. He can spot up, and he can make things, difficult for defenders having to defend the perimeter. So I even like him at a cheap contract if they were to bring him in. He's a veteran guy.
I wouldn't
But
mind you guys going after Clay, but only if the price was right.
free. That's all I want. Clay for.
Clay Thompson.
That's
Yeah.
right. Right.
Didn't
Not
he
Cassius Clay,
sign?
right?
Didn't he sign with somebody?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
but
did.
no, I'm saying I wouldn't have
Okay.
been mad at Orlando
Oh yeah.
pursuing him if the price was right.
Nah, dog. Nope. You can keep that nigga. 15 million for 5 years, maybe, but otherwise, nah, dog.
I think Precious Achua probably comes back to New York because I don't think the market. I don't know where you're gonna go. Where they probably gonna pay you what you think you're gonna get.
Mhm.
So I could see him coming back. I also think Leon Rose and them are still trying to make some kind of move for somebody or something. I don't know, but we'll see.
The Lakers might be going after Achua. He's the best one still out there. And you could definitely use him on LA to give LeBron a rest, to play some defense. He's a guy that I
Rebound.
could see the Lakers going after. The only other the guy that I would like, I think would look great in a Knicks uniform if they could get him for the right price, would be Spencer Dinwiddie. You guys have to get some guard
Support.
legs over there. You got to get some backups, man. Some bench guys on the from the guard standpoint, because otherwise Brunson's gonna die out there. He's gonna die out there on the court.
I don't know if we re-signed Alec Burks or not, but yeah, we need another point guard.
I got the tracker up. Burks.
We just re-signed Bam, but
nope. Burks signed with Miami. Yeah. Alec Burks went to Miami. That's not a bad deal since Tyler Hero can't stay healthy.
Man. I think that's what Pat's waiting for, because we got a lot of money into Jimmy, a lot of money into Tyler, a lot of money into Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, and Bam. So I think he's waiting for this Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson contracts to expire, because I don't think we're going to be able to trade them. So
yeah, NBA is interesting.
Yeah, but also I think the Lakers could take a page from Pat Riley, who used to go out, all these. I mean, I remember I think we went like 8 seasons without a first round pick. So all those trades we made, back in the day for LeBron and Bosh and stuff like that, and so the Lakers might need to take their medicine a season or two, and then like restockpile, and free agency is great to build through, but sometimes you also got to draft people.
But the thing there will be, can you get people to then come there? Is it the same Lakers? Like, to your point earlier,
LeBron's gonna be gone.
Yeah,
LeBron's gonna be gone. You need to. I'm surprised the Lakers didn't go all out this year. Like, you're not gonna. You have to be a year early. You can't be a year late on these guys aging out. And I know LeBron looks like a sentinel. He looks like he's never gonna age out. This guy is gonna age out, and eventually, the team that is dealing with him at the time is going to be a year late on, and it's looking like it's going to be the Lakers, and they really got to stop. I mean, the eggs in that basket is shrinking. It's shrinking.
And that contract they gave him is ridiculous. 3 years, like, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the third year is a team option, or I think it's a player option actually. I don't even think it's a team option. So this guy can literally tell you, yeah, I'm gonna play when I'm 43, and they're gonna be stuck. I mean, I get it; they can buy him out or whatever, but it's like, that contract is ridiculous.
How many games before we see him and Bronny play? You think they're gonna force Bronny into the roster?
Game 1.
I said I believe he's gonna make the active roster. I believe he will.
Yeah, I think he makes the active roster, and then I think you see Bronny and LeBron play together in the first quarter after, let's call it,
4 minutes.
Third timeout.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
early.
do they have much? Do they have many options roster wise?
Look, if I'm the Lakers, I think that's the best. That's the best. Just get it done with. Get it over with. Game 1. Let the media have their field day. You know what I mean? Because if you wait too long and you're either on a win streak, that could, really mess up LeBron's head. We know that. Or if you're on a losing streak, it can make it worse. So get it out of the way. Game 1, and then keep it. Hey, history's been made. Father son alley-oop from Bron to Bron, like something like that.
I saw an interesting take, and I wonder what you guys would think on this from your nemesis Nick Wright, who says maybe you bring in Bronny, right? And LeBron goes in not just as the leader of the team, but as a father, thinking, I got to make sure I'm being even better to set an example for my kid, versus my teammate, And now LeBron is like more active in the huddle. He's more active in meetings. He's paying more closely attention to what JJ's saying, and then getting on other guys to do the same, and getting more out of other guys, because he's trying to set an example for Bronny. And so maybe you get an even better LeBron, and then that makes your other guys good too.
Contrary to the message that I send up here, I think LeBron does that. I don't know that he can get better at that. I've
No,
told you guys that.
he's not saying he doesn't do that. He's saying he takes it, he steps it up.
But can you? Like, I think LeBron I think he does that. I think LeBron runs those practices. I think LeBron, and when I say run it, I don't mean from a coaching standpoint. I mean from we missed this. If you try doing this differently, it'll work out better. Yo, you see how you do this? Kyrie does this differently. Remember, I played with him. This could be, you could try this. Hey, you came off of this screen and it left. We've seen him doing that mid-game. We've seen audio capture of that. I think he does that. I think if I'm LeBron, I might be a little hands off. Because you gotta let this kid, you gotta let him fly. You gotta clip his wings. But I think he has to make it a point to call him out just like he calls everybody else out. Like, if you miss something, you can't just let it slide. If he throws the ball out of bounds, you got to get mad at him like you do with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you have to do that to keep, the negativity off of the media waves, because it's gonna happen. The minute Bronny misses a play and LeBron is like, "Oh, it's all good," the media is gonna eat that shit up and be like, "Oh, look at this little bitch. Jordan would never."
Yeah, I don't know if he might be more motivated to continue. To Steve's point, I think he's already been doing that. And I think the other question was, is this the team that responds, right? Because LeBron, from what we know, has consistently been that guy. It's just AD be hurt, D'Angelo Russell be doing whatever he do, and then who else is on that roster? Like, that's the other thing. Like, who else is gonna hear the rallying cry and for 82 games, do something about it? I don't know. Like, I don't
That's
know.
gonna be a tough roster, man. They're gonna have to look to make moves mid-season, I think, because the West is just getting stronger, yo. Like, you got Dallas just got stronger. Sacramento just got stronger. Like, you didn't even have to worry about Sacramento. I mean, you did, but you didn't. You had Denver, Dallas, you had those guys, Minnesota. Now you got
OKC.
OKC, who got stronger. Like, the Lakers, they better figure it out. They better figure it
Yeah,
out.
I think to Nick Wright's point, it could give him the added motivation to go hardest and go harder. But I mean, it's like, again, we never really questioned LeBron, right? It was the guys around him. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, it might be miraculous if these two guys, father and son, can maybe do something that we didn't think was possible. But I mean, shit, who are they playing with? I mean, damn.
Yeah.
Maybe LeBron needs to call D Wade and ask him if he'll take the blouse off and come back. Like, dog, I know you want to be a fashion icon.
Shit, better call Melo off the couch.
Well, he can't call D Wade, because D Wade, isn't he part ownership of Utah now?
No, I'm saying you better call Melo off the couch.
Call Melo.
Melo could still get some buckets.
What's disgusting? You don't like Carmelo?
No, Wade being part of Utah. Why isn't he a part owner of the Heat?
Because it's expensive.
Because he don't really fuck with y'all. He don't really fuck with y'all.
That's what I'm saying. Because Mickey Harrison said if he knew that Wade wanted to be part of ownership, he'd have definitely made that happen.
Well, he ain't even pay him.
I was about to say, make him owner. He seemed like he was still pissed off that y'all never came on the back end, pause, and break him off for taking them pay cuts.
You were just flagrant today.
I think you're likely right on that, but it's sad that he's not a part of it. Especially if he wants to be in ownership, he's not a part of the Heat's ownership.
My man had to go to Utah.
Right.
That's wild.
That's all he had for money, because Miami done played him. He like, yo, I got about 30,000 I could put into this.
I know the Celtics gonna go for you.
What you mean?
The Celtics up for sale. I'm wondering what they're gonna go for.
Oh, what they're gonna go for? I didn't hear that. Okay.
A Boston baked bean sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're saying rumoring Bezos to be a part of it, right? So that's a lot of money. Who does he partner with? Like, because I don't foresee him going and saying, all right, here, take all my fortune and just give me this team. That would be real arrogant, and it could happen. But I think he puts together a group of sorts. Like, who would you? I would want a former NBA player in there, somebody that I could be like, yo, handle this shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you have to do that these days. I mean, before, like, these guys would just go and buy a team, but now it's like people want to see these ownership groups that, you know, we got this person who, you know, we brought in, you know, Derek Jeter and A-Rod or whoever, you know what I mean? So
does Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce get a piece of that ownership with him? Do they try to partner with him? You know what I mean? Like,
I would go
Does
KG.
he-
If I'm him, I wouldn't go Paul Pierce.
I wouldn't go Paul Pierce either, but
I can see a bunch of Celtics possibly getting involved somehow. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. That whole situation is weird.
Yeah. Because I mean, Bezos got the money to just do it on his own. You know what I mean? But it's probably better with a group. And I don't know how much of the team is being sold because, you know, some of these owners
that's true
only
too.
own like
Sometimes it's not 100%.
Yeah, you know, so he might be selling the majority stake and he's still gonna keep 10% or something like, you know.
Or I'm gonna sell y'all 52%.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what Dolphins did when they sold to Stephen Ross. They only sold him 50.1% of the team.
Yeah.
He bought the rest of it like 2 years later, but at first they only sold him half.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, the owner probably should go spend some time with his wife. She was getting beat up by the coach, so.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Maybe Udoka could be part of the ownership team.
Nia Long.
Shout out to Nia Long. She got her star on the
Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yo, how much more space do they have? That's always been my question.
People.
Oh, do they?
I don't know, because I mean, you would think they've been doing that shit since like the 70s. You would think they've run out of space already.
Yeah. Well, who's the one that's on the wall? Muhammad Ali. He's the only one that's on the wall. The rest of them on the floor.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Muhammad Ali is the only one that's got a wall. That's on a wall. Everyone else is on the floor.
Interesting.
All right, let me check my topics that I sent y'all real quick. VP's Politiminute, SCOTUS, America, HOD, NBA free agency, 4th of July, Sunday Fun Day. Oh, I think we covered it.
Call it Hot D.
What? HOD?
You always say HOD. It's Hot D.
Right.
I'm not calling it that. You could call it that. Y'all got it. I'm going to call it HOD. Whatever y'all want to call it is up to you.
Oh, this guy's savage.
Man, I got to start packing. EJ, you still ain't tell me what I got to bring. You ain't tell me no food spots. Like,
what I got to tell you food spots for, and I could just take you there.
Do I need to bring my Imodium with me? I'm 42.
Taking the Vinnies.
Taking the Denny's.
Vinny.
Oh,
or at a bridge.
Yeah.
Oh no, we ain't going there.
Yo, make sure you get a spades game lined up while I'm there. So I'm gonna bust some ass, get my name out in Baltimore. Balls.
I don't know about that.
Casino joint. You already know.
T-shirts, yo. Yeah, you know what I noticed too when I was looking at your pics, EJ? It seems like the older chicks were the ones wearing the nastier T-shirts.
Duh. Why you think EJ was there? That's his only reason for going.
Like the one chick that had on the shirt that said it said "I suck cock" or whatever, and then or no, right? That's what it said.
You can't do that when somebody's drinking, dog. Like, what is wrong with
it? It said it like in big letters. It said it in big letters, and then when you look at in big words, and then you look in small words, it said like "I suck the lemon
out of tequila, margaritas."
Yeah. So because it was like it said like it had cock in big letters, and then it said tails in like really small letters. So it was like I suck the cocktails, I drink the tequila or some shit. I can't remember the exact phrase.
Those are just the ones I can get pictures of.
Yeah,
it was wild.
Crazy, yeah.
It's a good concept though.
Yeah,
it's a really good concept because people get really excited for it. So, and there's a lot of people that was in there.
Shout out to the sister that had on the shirt that said "Small penises matter."
Love and light to you, sis.
Yo.
Tell her not all heroes wear capes.
She a fan.
Yeah. Hey, yo. Wild. Absolutely wild, yo.
Yeah,
It was a good time.
those shirts was crazy. Yeah. I love
It
it.
was a good time. I personally was very happy about mine and how it came out.
I didn't see any Caucasoids there.
I
Or Hispanics.
don't recall. I had to hit you with the politics. I don't recall.
I'm coming.
So it's looking like rain. It's looking like rain Friday and Saturday. As far as this Yankees game, yeah. As far as this Yankees game is concerned.
So no Orioles game?
No, I want to see the Yankees. I'm seeing the Yankees while I'm there. This is the point of going.
Aha.
Yeah. So we can bond over a Yankee game.
Said the only reason.
What's it called? That's it. And to go see what's the casino out there?
Horseshoe. Ain't much to look at. I mean, Saturday might be the better move because it seems by like Saturday 6 p.m. it's gonna be clear. For now, I mean it's now. That's
all good.
Now.
We'll watch the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the radar. We'll figure it out.
So how you do you, EJ?
What I do?
See how he do you?
Oh yeah. Nothing new.
What I do?
Nothing new.
Because first you he doesn't take you serious since you're not, and then you keep saying it over and over. You kind of just slowly reel him in. He's like, "Yeah, we can watch the radar on Saturday because it's gonna be the better day." EJ, no, you ain't coming to Baltimore. But now you done switched from you ain't coming to like making plans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's probably gonna get up the pod, setting up daycare for the girls. You know what I was saying?
He better have daycare. I just sent y'all the itinerary. Like, what are y'all talking about? Look, listen. If you listen, play with me if you want. I will hop in an Avis rental and drive myself right to Connecticut. It's what, 4.5 hours? Play with me if you want.
CVP. Foul.
I'm telling y'all I'm going. Y'all are like, he ain't going.
Hey, I'm ready. I'll be ready.
EJ gonna make plans with his new missus and shit.
Oh man, this guy. I'll be ready, brother. I'll be ready. I will be ready. I don't know what you're talking about. You're not gonna be drinking and shit though.
Listen, man.
At least one of them days.
Oh no, I said I'm gonna drink, but I'm gonna have a limit. I'm not getting sloshed like Eric.
You only going up there for the weekend?
Yeah. I'm gonna fly up Friday and come back Monday. Only because I want to be able to pod Sunday, and then
you like be able to pod up there.
Why not?
Y'all both can't be on EJ's internet.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? We might have, since you're not gonna be on, we might have to just do it as a local joint, recorded and then upload it because this shit.
Oh yeah, do some shorts.
Yeah, EJ gonna find us a spot anyway. It's got to be a studio up there that we could grab.
Yeah, but everybody ain't available Sunday at 9 a.m.
You do it Saturday night. I don't care. Look, listen, man. Whatever. All right. Well, that's all that I have for this fine day. What's the temperature look like outside? I think I'm gonna go hop in the pool. Yeah, it's sunny. It's gonna be hot. So, VP, if you'll take us up out of here.
All right, everybody. We definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us for this week's episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Hope you enjoyed your 4th of July and people didn't keep you up all night like they did around here. Fucking bastards. With that being said, man, like we always say, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to folks, let them know you're thinking about them. You never know how people are doing inside their own head. So definitely check on your people, let them know you care about them. I'm traveling this week to Michigan, so safe travels to me. Looks like Steve might be traveling to Maryland this week, so safe travels to him. Hope you guys have a good and safe weekend. Hope EJ don't get Steve into too much trouble. The guy is still married, but anyway, but with that being said, man, like Steve said earlier, you can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching Castworthy. You also can follow us on any of our social media by searching Castworthy. On Instagram, it's I'm sorry, messed that up. You can follow us on all of those platforms at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. There you go. That's how you find us. You got to know who we are.
Right.
But with that being said, man, while you're there, you can leave us a like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. And with that being said, we will see you guys on the next episode of the Castworthy podcast, whenever that is. Might be next week, might be the week after. We'll see what happens. But stay safe. And again, safe travel, Steve. And we will see you guys on whenever the next episode of the Castworthy podcast is. Until then, we out. We love you. Peace.